So let's close our eyes just for a few moments and allow ourselves to become fully present in the here and now, letting go of what has come before and what is to come after. Forgetting about calendars and schedules, even celebrating our moms. Just for a moment, let us center ourselves in our heart of hearts, where we experience the divine presence. And just feel yourself open and free and receptive to the experience at hand. Because we're not just here for an hour to be entertained or even spiritually nourished. We're here to have an experience, a deeper connection with divine love, a reminder of the beauty of life itself, and an awakening to what is ours to do and be. And so we just allow ourselves to be fully present and take in this rich, full life by means of this morning's celebration. So now gently allow yourself to come back into the room. And if you wish, you may open your eyes. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown. I'm Frankie Timmers, the spiritual director here, and I wish all of us a happy Mother's Day, especially those of you who are mothers or mother in any particular way. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because I know it's kind of like filled with a little bit of everything, right? So we are, if you're here for the first time, we're really grateful that you found your way over here. We are a spiritual community, part of about 400 in the world, called Centers for Spiritual Living, and we embrace all faiths and all paths to God. Doesn't matter where you've been, who you are, we welcome you and we love you. And so just let yourself take that in, whether you're new or not. I always begin with an opening treatment, spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer, but I want to mix it up a little bit. We're going to mix it up a lot today, somewhat, for some. I want to welcome two really special guests that do amazing work in our greater community. How many of you are familiar with the Market Street Mission? Yes, they do amazing work. And this month, our center is giving, every month we give $1,000 to somebody who's doing good work in the world. And we want to also keep it local. So this month we're keeping it local and we're giving that gift to Market Street Mission. And representing Market Street Mission on Mother's Day are two men that obviously serve that community in amazing ways. Phil Parcells and Don Fleming. Would you come up for a moment? I did not plan that, but I love it. We love James. So we have $1,000 for you.
Thank you so
and
much.
we would love for you to say a little bit about what you do in the world at Market Street
We
Mission.
really appreciate this. Market Street Mission has been around since 1889. And we started a new place in Asbury Park in 2011. So we are serving The community, we provide emergency services, which includes meals, shelter for those who need shelter overnight, and hot showers and so on. But we also have a drug and alcohol rehab program for men, and it's about a 10-month program, give or take. And when guys come through that, they are really ready to get on with their lives. So we have some literature out in the lobby we'd love to show you. We would invite you to come by any time to volunteer. We have a person on full-time staff. Their primary purpose is coordinating volunteers. We have that many, and we'd never be able to do what we do without our volunteers. We also invite you to come for a tour anytime. We have certain set tours, but if you just pop in, we love to drop what we're doing and just show people around. And finally, I would just say we have a graduation coming up on the green on July 29th. So there will be about 18 guys, right, Phil, that will be graduating. And we get them suits from our thrift store down on George Street. And it's just one of the best experiences as we see these guys graduate. They are pumped, and we're pumped for them. And finally, we have a 5K on July 4th. That's going to be right in, is it Central Park in Morristown? So we have some literature about that as well. So thank you again. We really appreciate it, and we would not be able to do all that we do without support from people like you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I so support the Market Street mission. I love their thrift shop, and I often take my things that I don't need anymore. And I also think that, they're 2 miles up the road. It's a wonderful community that does wonderful work. So thank you. So now let us do an opening treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes and just allow yourself to be open and receptive, knowing that there is only one power, one presence. It is divine love, divine wisdom, divine grace that is ever present in and around us. Today we open our hearts and our minds more deeply than ever before, knowing that life itself is the teacher and the teachings. That what we experience in life is about our evolution. It is about our spiritual maturing, our growth. And so today we welcome all of life and we allow it to teach us in a humble way. Because we know that sometimes we resist or we're challenged or we judge or we complain. But in truth, all of life is here to serve us. So today we're served in a way that rises us up and allows us to be of service to the greater good. I know we're blessed because we wouldn't be here if we weren't. And so today we celebrate those blessings as we celebrate all the mothers and all the mothering that is happening in the world. We are grateful for that gift, because there is that profound connection to God the Mother that is ever serving us. And so with awe and gratitude, we turn this word over to the universal law that only knows to demonstrate it for the highest and best for each of us here. And so it is. So, Mother's Day. Poor mothers. I feel kind of sorry for you. Not really. I'm only saying that to be a little bit provocative because no one here, people in general, put a lot of stuff on mothers. Even scrolling through Facebook, there are people upset that somebody's saying Happy Mother's Day. I'm like, goodness gracious, people, get a life. It's something that's so much bigger and so much greater. It's really about love. Of course it's about love, but love is complicated. Relationships are complicated and complex. So of course what happens because they are complicated and complex, we tend to project onto our mothers. Whether they're never enough, never good enough, didn't love us enough, some of that is real. I had one of those. I'm going to come back to that. Whether it's about needs that are unfulfilled, heartache, pain, loss, grief, abuse, whatever, there is always the full spectrum of all of life that some of us get to experience in relationship to our mothers. And then there are some who are so blessed and so in love with their mothers and their mothers so in love with them that they are free of any of that. Meet me later. I want to know you. But in the end, when we distill it down to what it's all about, it's really about love and how we get to grow in love. Last week, I talked about as within, so without, or as without, so within, which is about the confusion sometimes that what we project onto the world that we think is responsible for our challenges and our suffering. And so if you did not hear that, go on YouTube, where we are now, and listen to that talk because it's somehow connected. It's about knowing that it's always as within, so without, because in our teaching we say that life reflects back to us what we believe, what we think, what we feel, and some of that is conscious and some of it isn't. I think the most important thing we have to remember is that mothers are human beings. I know that's shocking to some of you. They're human beings just like all of us. So many of you know that I was raised in the Netherlands in a very strict Catholic family, and I'm one of 9 children. There's only 5 of us left. And my mother passed away in 1999. It was my biggest fear up until 1999. If my mother dies, it will kill me. I don't think I can handle that. I kept saying that to myself. But I was also preparing because I knew it was inevitable. She was a little bit older than I am. Which is a surprise, right? When people die and they're older, they're elders, we're like shocked. You know, I always tell people when I'm teaching, when I'm counseling, is they're going to die. Maybe before us, maybe after us. So there is something about preparing ourselves for that, for loss and for death. The work that I had done spiritually and emotionally and mentally before she passed was that preparation, which for me was about loving her unconditionally and forgiving her for her humanness. There was lots of it to go around when there are 9 children. I mean, I can count the times on one hand when I was left behind at a playground or amusement park. They'd left, the car was full, let's go, right? Here I was. The healing that happened was so powerful, though, because when she passed, I realized that she became part of the universal mother and that she could now mother me in ways she never could as a human mother. And so there was a powerful healing that took place inside of me in my heart that was about love. Her passing opened my heart in a way nothing ever has. And it allowed for so much more to happen. I want to read a poem by David White, one of my favorite poets. It's a farewell letter from a mother to a son. She wrote me a letter after her death, and I remember a kind of happy light falling on the envelope as I sat by the rose tree on her old bench by the back door, so surprised by its arrival, wondering what she would say, unable to open it and laughing in silent expectation. Dear son, it's time for me to leave you. The words you are used to hearing are no longer mine to give. You can hear those words of motherly affection now only from your own mouth, and only for those who stand motherless before you. As for me, I must forsake adulthood and be bound gladly to a new childhood. You must understand this apprenticeship demands of me an elemental innocence from everything I ever held in my hands. I know your generous soul is well able to let me go. You will in the end be happy to know my God was true, and that after so many years of loving you all so long, I find myself in the wide, infinite mercy of being mothered myself. What if our mothers, still with us or not, are our greatest teachers? they're not just teaching us how to be in the world, but they're teaching us how to love ourselves, how to mother ourselves. What if they are teaching us how not to be in the world and how much of a gift that is? Our mothers are not just there for the cool, easy, fun, great, loving stuff, but they're also there to teach us about the hard stuff. Hard and heart stuff. And so we get to love ourselves and mother ourselves until we grow into the human beings that we want to be. And then something magical happens. We stop complaining. What if we stopped complaining? Not just about mothers and mothering, because sometimes we complain about how other mothers mother. That's a whole other talk. Maybe I'll do that on Father's Day. But to heal so much and to grow so much and to evolve so much that we can literally love our mothers unconditionally and to take that which we did not receive and needed so much as a way to give to ourselves. One of the things that we're doing this month is we're studying this book, How to Change Your Life by Ernest Holmes. I want everybody to have a copy of this, because it doesn't only address the declaration of principles of the science of mind, but it has about 20 little prayers in the back that you can use if your excuse is, I don't know how to pray, or how to treat, which is our word for affirmative prayer. And so then there's grief, which I know many people are experiencing today. Some of you is your first Mother's Day without your mother. I know that. And so I know that cannot be an easy day. The first Mother's Day after my mother passed, John Welshans walked into these doors. Some of you know him. And we got to have a wonderful exchange, and he became a dear friend. And we talked about the gift of grieving, which also is another talk. But what I've discovered, there's something so juicy and so rich about grieving that we miss it if we call it bad, if we're afraid of it, if we skip it, if we deny it, which in our culture we tend to do, right? Dress the body up like it's alive, fill it with formaldehyde, and dress it up and put on some more makeup. And we forget that there's something else that is happening. It's just the shedding of the physical body, but the soul lives on. And so grieving we must, because grieving takes us to another place of greater maturity, greater love, greater surrender. The only reason that anybody grieves is because they loved. And so what if we make it about the love? Because the love is what leads to a greater, more alive life and grieving to death. Loving leads to birth and rebirth. And so we must embrace all of that. So what if it's all about love? What if this life is all about love? We may ask ourselves, what is it I'm not getting about love? And how can I live that and embody that and embrace that and learn about that? What if we're here to allow to dissolve our own resistance to love? Because I think the thing we want the most, love, we resist the most. And so the question is, what is my resistance to love? It often is a sense of lack of self-worth, fear, or a resistance to self-acceptance, and on and on and on. What if we received the love that is given and it's enough? Because if it isn't enough in this world, we know where to go to get the more, which is Spirit, God, universal love already within our hearts. When it comes to love and the complexity of love, what we're really bumping into is our own stuff, our own beliefs, our own limitations, our own resistance. And so we get to surrender to that and have that surrender be so healing that it spills over into the world where you work, where you live, the communities where you live, You know all about this at Market Street Mission. You get to see these 18 men graduate, and you know that that's the love that you have given. And that's true for all of us. Most of you serve in some way, shape, or form. That's the extension of love that becomes a spiritual practice, that becomes an environment to learn something more about yourself. And so, recently, I learned something really cool. And I'm working with it myself because I have my own challenges, believe it or not. When we experience life, when we experience conditions, there's 4 different ways we can go about this. We can create a new experience. We can create the experience we want, which is really co-create, right? We just work with spirit within and make things happen. Then there is allowing, which is just surrendering and trusting and knowing that what is happening by means of us has a reason, has a purpose, has a teaching, has something to give us. And as we allow it to happen, we're open and receptive to the experience. The third one is promote, which is really about being a messenger to the world, which is being an example, which is about being a teacher in the world by means of your experience. And then the last one is to step in. To literally step into the experience and give it everything you are and everything you have and receive from it whatever it has to give you. I'll repeat those 4. Create, allow, promote, step in. If you have questions, ask me later. So what if there is only love? My teacher, who was sort of a mother to me, although he was a rough guy, passed away in January, and the last conversation we had, he said, Frankie, don't forget that love is all there is. It's all about love, and there's nothing else. I know more people who have said that at the end of their life than I can count on 2 hands. That's what people arrive at when they're conscious. At the end of their life, they realize it's all about love. So what if we surrender to that now? And know that heartache is just about you allowing in more love and allowing out more love. And that you can trust that it's not something to fear. I had to write on the edges because I didn't want to start a new page. So in our teaching, we say something really powerful, and I want to close with that. We say healing is revealing. Yes, we don't say healing is curing, fixing. Healing is revealing. What is it revealing? It's revealing our divine perfection. It's revealing our inner wholeness. It's revealing our true nature. That's what healing is about. It doesn't mean no disease, no death. It means the truth. And sometimes we have some icky experiences that reveal the truth, that heal us, right? And so healing is revealing. And so when we do our spiritual work, we can use that in a prayer that I am healing and something new is revealed to me. And if that needs to be healed, let it be healed. So it's about freedom. And is there anybody here that does not want to be free or more free? So then we need to extend that to those who have loved us imperfectly. In this case, our mothers to be, those who have mothered us. What a great gift that would be on Mother's Day. Let's have some. So thank you for standing, because I really wanted you to kind of have a sense of what's about to happen in our center. I get a 1-month mini sabbatical. And many of you are asking, where are you going? What are you doing? Nowhere and nothing. That's where I'm going, and that's what I'm doing. So there's going to be lots of really great speakers, great workshops, great teachings, and you want to take advantage of it because it's important to hear from different people, hear different things, and hear different ways. I know you love me to pieces, but you know what? you need to really experience other people saying what they have to say because they're all powerful teachers. We would not pick them otherwise. So get ready for the month of May, month of June, for a lot of great experience. So part of the whole prosperity program is also something that we do at our center. I know most of you think that the angels throw buckets of money on our roofs and it falls right through and we pay our bills and it's fantastic, but we're going to tell you something about that by means of our beautiful Stephanie St. Cyr to tell us about the Phoenix Fund.
Good morning. Good morning. So we're running our annual Phoenix Fund. We started a couple of weeks ago. Some of you have gotten calls already from some of our practitioners and our leadership council members, and of course, Dr. Frankie herself, depending. And the Phoenix Fund is one of the ways that we maintain financial stability here. We are able to dip into it on the months that we don't have as many donations on our weekly donations, and we also use it for the maintenance of our beautiful building and grounds for things like snow removal, which was exceptionally high this year. So we've been doing it for 4 years. It's really helped to stabilize our budget and to stabilize our finances. So thank you all who have participated in that every year. It's been a great gift to the center. And for anybody that hasn't had a chance to donate yet, you actually have until the end of the calendar year. We accept donations to the Phoenix Fund all year long. You just need to let Connie know, our goddess of everything, who hangs out at the desk out there mostly during the week, and let her know that your donation is going to the Phoenix Fund. If you're donating through the website, you can indicate that on the memo, on your memo in your check, etc. And I'm just going to close with the quote that we use for the Phoenix Fund, which is, "Our heart filled with love is like a phoenix that no cage can imprison," and that's Rumi. So,
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Beautiful.
Always. So my name is Gail Belluardo. I'm a licensed practitioner here at our center, and I recently joined the Leadership Council. So a lot of things happen in my life. I know there's a lot happening in yours. I wanted to speak today about mother love and my experience of it and how it's gone from the personal to the universal for me. And basically, I know my mother's here with me because I couldn't do it by myself. And in fact, when I was very young, I couldn't do anything by myself because my mother was all that, everything to me, as many people find their mothers. So my mother was 19 when she had me. She was a new bride. She had just left her parents' home, and I was a honeymoon baby. So she was my world. She was everything. She took care of me. She fed me. She bathed me. She clothed me. And my father worked full time, so really she was my world. She was my entire world. And until I was in my second year, I was the only child. And then my brother came along, my first brother, and he actually introduced me into the whole idea of sharing, which I gradually learned over my lifetime. And so I learned to share my mother's love and lots of other things as well. So my mother was strong and determined and persevering, and that was good because when I was 7.5 years old, my parents separated, divorced, and she was a single mom. So she supported us herself. By that time, I had there was a third child, my brother Randy. So what I found was she was all of those qualities, and I had those qualities. So we clashed quite a bit at times, and that's what mothers and daughters sometimes do. And there were times we didn't talk, but I always loved her, and I always knew she loved me. But my greatest fear is the same fear that you had, Reverend Frankie, which is that if my mother died, I would never survive. So, I took that fear with me along my life, kind of put it in the back burner, met the love of my life, have a career, all kinds of things. And eventually I found this teaching, and this teaching really helped me have another experience of mothering, the Divine Mother. Because my mother, like all mothers, was limited, and there were times when I was very disappointed and hurt and angry and all those things that kids get to be, that mothers get to be. And so this teaching helped me feel a very deep and profound connection with God, and to begin to see God not as my mother or my father, but as the presence of life itself. And I began to witness God in other people, in flowers, in nature, in my pets, and I began to have this wider experience of God. And that's really good because my mother did become sick, and I wound up being her caregiver, and I took care of her, and this dynamic, powerful, persevering, domineering woman that I knew became very weak and vulnerable. And I found myself feeling a sense of, disillusionment, but also I felt a sense of caring, love, and protection for her, which she must have felt for me and for my brothers. So I felt those things, and so my childhood fear reemerged, and yet now I had this teaching. And I began to realize that there is my mother, she gave me life, but there's this greater divine mother that's giving all of us life all the time. And when Reverend Frankie first talked about how when her mother passed, she began to realize her mother was everywhere present, could be with her all the time, that to me was like a fairy tale in the beginning, something I wished for. But since my mother passed, I really found that even in the grief of losing her, that grief broke open my heart in such a way that I felt that I was being held. I felt like there was some warm, pulsating presence that just was holding me and loving me and caring for me, that my grief became exquisite. And I, even in that grief, was able to feel joy. And so what a great gift, what a great gift from this woman who had a really rough life. So now I know what you mean. Now I know what you mean. So I'd like to just ask everyone to close their eyes for a moment. And just take a deep breath. And just feel that breath that comes into you. That breath that is continuous. It's persistent, even when you're not aware of it. It's the breath of God. It's the Divine Mother loving presence. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, how you might be criticizing yourself, or what you might be thinking about someone else. That continuous flow of life is the warm, pulsating presence of God that keeps you going. And I wish for you that you could know, like I know, that I can lean into this presence, and you can lean into this presence as something that's strong and enduring, kind and loving, and unconditional. And so I invite you to just take another deep breath and take from what I said whatever was yours to take. And just know that it's always available and it's up to you. You always have the choice to experience it. And so when you feel ready, I invite you to come back to the room, to feel that seat holding you, steadying you, the floor under your feet, and open your eyes. And now that your eyes are open, and you have felt some of the givingness of God, it's now our turn to give back. Because as God gives to us and we give back, it returns to us multiplied abundantly. That's our teaching, and that's been my experience. So I invite you to repeat after me this affirmation. I know that I live in an abundant, loving, kind, unconditionally giving universe. And I know that as I receive, I receive everything I need. And I am just so grateful to give back. And so it is. And ushers, please come forward.
Many of you know the beautiful Marian Oxenhorn, who is kind of like a mother figure for us. She's been here a long time, and she's a grandmother. Well, she's hilariously funny. She was in a prosperity class and realized that she had a dream to become a comedian, and she made it happen. She performed at Caroline's in New York. Watch YouTube, she's right there, and she's really clever and smart and funny and hilarious. And she's going to do a show this coming Saturday. So we want you all to come and bring your family and friends. It's pretty clean, although some of the stuff that comes out of her mouth, I get a little blushed around, and I'm not easy to blush. She's America's funniest grandma, and she's actually the winner of Gilda's Club Laugh Off and New York Comedy Club Performers. So it's 7:30, so come on down and we're going to have some fun. And then Wednesday, we have the wonderful Patrick Harbula coming back. He's done workshops before, and he's very popular. He comes from California, and he is doing a workshop called The Joy Factor, a life of infinite freedom, and it's Wednesday at 6:30. So we're going to do a healing treatment now, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So just tune in, close your eyes, and allow yourself to receive this word, knowing that there's a power and a presence that is greater than we are, and we call it God, Spirit, universal life, universal light, divine love. It has many names. It is within us. It is what beats our heart. It's what breathes our lungs. It's what allows the magic of spring to inspire us and the predictability of the seasons to assure us that all is well. That no matter what opinions we hold in our mind about what isn't well, there's something deeper, more powerful, and greater than that. It is the sustaining presence of the life force itself, ever giving, ever serving, ever revealing a greater idea by means of humanity. Today we look for the greatness in humanity. And as we express it through ourselves and see it in others, it grows and magnifies. And then it is returned back to us, multiplied abundantly, and it absorbs that which appears to be contrary. Today, we allow our hearts to be healed of any ache or pain. Today, we free ourselves by means of divine love. And we trust that all is well, always has been, always will be, is right here and right now. And as we step into that, something shifts. And that shift is our gift to ourselves, each other, and the world. So we're grateful to celebrate the life force today by means of mothers, by means of the mothering energy that exists in so many and so much. And we are blessed by it, and so it is. Have a great day, everybody, and a beautiful week, and know you are loved.